The Dodgers were this close from sweeping the team with the best record in the American League. How should we be feeling after this series against Toronto? We got you the good, the bad, and the ugly from this matchup with the Blue Jays.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For a hot second this weekend, we felt like the Dodgers were back on track, Travis, but in the final two innings of the series, LA's missed opportunities with their bats ended up biting them in the you-know-what against Toronto.
Yeah, it sure did. It was it started off so well and then ended with kind of a thud. And we got a lot to get into on today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, brought to you by FanDuel. Football season right around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now.
Preseason is already in action, but baseball, we're in the best part of the season. 2-game lead for the Dodgers. Ooh, you wanted a competitive end of the season? You're getting it, Dodgers fans. He's Travis Rogers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger blue for life. If you're an early bird listener of our show, you can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 9 to noon with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans, but nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what we love most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. Travis, if you had told me before the series against Toronto that the Dodgers would take 2 out of 3 games, I have a feeling most of us would have gladly accepted it. They did win Friday and Saturday, mostly with stress-free baseball for Dodgers fans, but Sunday, it was one of those games where it felt like they were letting the Blue Jays just hang around instead of putting a dagger in them. Los Angeles had 10 hits and drew 13 walks. Somehow they only scored 4 runs. The first time they've done that in a game and lost. That was crazy. That was ridiculous. There's a lot of angles to take on it, but Sunday's game unfortunately overshadowed, in my opinion, what had happened in previous days.
Yeah, I don't know if it overshadowed it, in my opinion, Harry. I think that it kind of took the shine off of it a little bit, but they played pretty good baseball for a couple of days. I'll go back to you were doing Raiders, so on Friday I did a solo show, and what I said on Friday was, here's what I would like to see from the Dodgers this weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays. They checked a bunch of those boxes. Now, they left a couple of them blank yesterday, but what they did check is they played against a really good team on Friday and played a tight, clean baseball game. They did the little things right. They didn't make a bunch of mistakes. And I thought that Friday night's game was as good of a regular season baseball game as I've seen in a really long time. It was a really well-played game. Thought the Dodgers looked particularly sharp right there. And by the way, and Mookie stayed hot. And then on Saturday, Snell lights out. Mookie stayed hot. Now they blew him out in the middle of that game with the 6-run 6th inning, and it kind of got a little lopsided there, but another very good opponent. They played pretty well, didn't make mistakes. Mookie stayed hot. You got Blake Snell, who was terrific, 10 Ks in I think 5 or 6 innings. And then yesterday got off to a terrific start. All of a sudden, Ohtani, 41. Freddie hits another one. Mookie's on base again. And it felt like they're getting ready to sweep a really good Toronto team, and then they got a little wobbly at the end. They couldn't get a big hit when it mattered. Blake Trinan had another bad day. I think that is that flag has gone from no flag. I don't know if it's quite red, but it's dark pink at this point. We're getting closer. And Alex Vezia gave up, he got ambushed a little bit on that first pitch. That wasn't great. But yesterday, very, very disappointing. But I think the totality of the weekend was very positive.
Yeah, you definitely are very concerned about Trinan, and we're going to dive deep into the bullpen and the rotation a little bit more ahead. But, man, I mean, the Dodgers were in a great position to succeed. 16 men left on base. 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They had more traffic on the bases than you usually see at Angel Stadium, except when the Dodgers are in town or when the Savannah Bananas are playing there. It was crazy. And like I said, I was watching that game and I was like, man, They're doing too much and not scoring enough players. They're not sending enough players to the plate, and that's going to bite them in the you-know-what, and it ended up happening. And, I mean, you look at what happened with Michael Conforto going in as a pinch hitter in that game, and I got to say, dude, don't move. Let that ball hit you. Take that hit by pitch. Yeah. He had 2 opportunities for that to happen. Take one for the team. They've left you on this team almost halfway through August. That would have been a free run. Again, why are you moving?
Yeah,
why are you moving?
I was with you on that. You know, easy for you and me to say, standing here, and the 100-mile-an-hour fastball is not coming at our body, and you just kind of want to pop out of the way of it. But I agree with you. I thought that was an opportunity to not only get a run, but to contribute to the team in a meaningful way. If they, when you're hitting under 200 in the middle of August, I would think, by hook or by crook, you just want to get on base and contribute to a win. And he had an opportunity to do that. They couldn't get that knockout blow. And it's not like they had 1 or 2 chances, like you said. They had 10 hits and 13 walks, and they tied the game late not because they got any hits, but because the Blue Jay pen was a complete catastrophe, and just 1 walk after the next. And they needed 1 more hit, and they couldn't get it. They really couldn't get that hit in the last couple of innings along the way. I do think that it's a mixed bag, Harry, because I thought they did some things really well. You saw them play a little bit of small ball. We saw a couple of different sacrifice bunts. That's not stuff that the Dodgers typically do. They usually let guys sit and spin along the way, and they played for 1 run, and I like that. I think that they're starting to kind of get into that grind it out mode that you're going to need to do in the postseason. But you can grind it out all you want, but you're going to still need to find a way to get those runners across. And look, Shohei Ohtani came up with the game on the line, and he struck out. Mookie Betts came up with the game on the line, and even though he's been much better, and I'm not criticizing Mookie here, but he didn't get the hit there. They had their 2 best guys, or 2 of their 3 or 4 best guys, come up with the game on the line, and they didn't deliver. When Ohtani came up in the 9th inning, I'm like, all right, he's going to do one of 2 things. He's going to split a gap, and this is going to be an easy win. 2 runs are going to come in, or he's going to do the Shohei thing and put one halfway up the left field pavilion and hit a grand slam, and there's going to be a party at Dodger Stadium. He struck out. Now, a pretty tough pitch, and he chased a little bit. I like him being aggressive. I think all of those things are positives, but they had opportunities to win that game, and they let it slip through their fingers. But I keep going back to this, like you said at the very beginning, Harry. If you would have said coming into this series on Friday morning, the Dodgers are going to beat Toronto 2 of these 3 games. The 1 game they lose, they're going to lose by 1 run. Do you want it? I would have said, yeah, I'll take that. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and you look over at shout out Alex Call, shout out Alex Freeland, who had those sack bunts and moved the runners into scoring position. That was fantastic. But also, we got to look at the situation where you got Dave Roberts running rookie Justin Dean for Teoscar Hernandez in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead. I get it. It's a 1-run lead. You need insurance runs, but it's still a close game. And I think you needed that Teoscar Hernandez bat in the lineup more than you needed Justin Dean in the base paths. That's something you do when you are tied with a runner in first in the 9th inning. That's something you do when you're down 1 run with the runner on first in the 8th or 9th inning. You don't do that in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead, and it comes up, and it's a bad situation at the end when you have to end up having Michael Conforto pinch hit for Dean because you don't want a rookie in that spot. You don't want to put that pressure on a rookie in that spot. And I already brought up Conforto, how unsatisfied. Man, he had a pitch right up the middle with a 3-1 count, and he fouled it. It's like a Major League Baseball player shouldn't not take advantage of opportunities like that and just put it in play, have something happen.
Yeah.
You put it in place, something good is going to happen. You have a foul ball. It's like now it's a full count, and let's see what goes down. Shohei Ohtani, you brought him up. He had just been intentionally walked an inning earlier or 2 innings earlier. And I mean, right here, it's okay. You can't walk me. All you needed was a sac fly, and you at least tie the game. and that was very disappointing too. And he got lucky. He was allowed to stay up there for an extra pitch because he totally went for on the first or second pitch, and the ump said no, he didn't go. And it's like, man, okay, instead of 0-2, we're 1-1, and he was able to. It was a 9-pitch at bat. He stayed up there. Man, I mean, in my personal opinion, that Sunday game, like I said, we wanted to win the series. It happened. You still have a 2-game lead, but that was a fantastic opportunity to make a statement to say the Dodgers, yes, that's a team with the best record in the American League. We just swept them. Come on, come to LA in October. We're going to do the same to you.
There's a lot in there that you just talked about. Can I give you a kind of a weird positive thing here about that Ohtani at bat that you're talking about? That they didn't bang him on that check swing, I think speaks to even umpires are enamored with Shohei Ohtani. Even umpires look at him and like, I'm not taking the bat out of that guy's hand. That's a really positive development for the now. You know, they're not doing it consciously, but it's a subconscious thing. Like, no, that's Ohtani. He gets to hit. I'm going to leave him standing up there. So I think.
Do you remember Sunday Night Baseball when they pointed out every at bat he goes and he tips his cap to the umpire, or every time you see a foul ball go to the other team's dugout, he always checks over and he's like, you all right? You all right? Okay. No, that's the charm right there.
He is. He's an amazing guy, an amazing player. So there's that. Like you talked about the pinch running. I agree with you. I feel like, you know, if you're behind, that's a move that you make. If that's the tying run, that's a move that you make. And especially, I don't think you take an offensive player, which is Teoscar Hernandez, out of the lineup at that point when you know that your bullpen is less than locked down, shut the door, no chance they're going to score again. If you have, you know, Eric Gagne and Kenley Jansen back there, sure, go ahead, because that 1 run is the 2 runs, forget about it. That's going to stand up for sure, but they don't have that going right now. And you know, and just that last inning, like you mentioned, it was disappointing. The series was not disappointing, just an unsatisfying end. But I did like the and you mentioned too the Conforto 3-1 pitch. I mean, that's a cookie. That's a ball that has to be put in play. That's a ball that has to be squared up. Doesn't necessarily have to be a hit. You got to get a little lucky to find some green grass out there somewhere, but you didn't need a hit right there to score a run. You just needed to put the ball in play somewhere, and likely you're going to score another run there, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, we'll dive deep into the bullpen soon, but next on Locked On Dodgers, Mookie Betts' season is kind of over? That's what the Los Angeles shortstop had to say this weekend. What does that mean for LA moving forward? Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue. Their gear hits the mark for Dodgers fans like me. Gameday Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you with a smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. You can wear it at tailgates, tea times, and just out running errands. I always get compliments when I rock mine. And it's not just hats. Check out their split shade gloves made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with the code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com. Use the code MLB15. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Let us know if you agree with what Mookie had to say on Friday. Here's his quote when he was asked if his latest performances have removed the burden of his recent struggles. He said, and I quote, "My season's kind of over, so I'm going to have to chalk that up for not a great season. But I can help the boys win every night. Do something, get an RBI, make a play, do something. I kind of have to shift my focus there. Obviously, everyone wants to have great seasons, but it's a lot easier when you just don't worry about the season. You just worry about the game to game. And so I think I'll take this perspective for the rest of my career. End quote. Travis, I won't lie. When I first listened to that quote and started hearing it, when he said my season's kind of over, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's August. It's at the end of the first week of August. What are you talking about? But you have to listen to the whole thing. And we shared a graphic on Locked On Dodgers on social media where we included the part where it was like, I can help the boys win every night. And that's something where it's like, okay, he's not quitting on the season. He just knows he's not going to have an MVP season. He's not going to have an all-star season, which he didn't. He's not on the he wasn't on the all-star team. But man, do you like this mentality for Mookie Betts?
I think there's two things happening at the same time. Number one is I think it is the culmination of what has to be the most frustrating season of Mookie Betts' entire career. That here we are, like you just said, we are comfortably into August at this point, and it just never clicked for him all season long. And Mookie Betts, like we've talked about, is a deadlock cinch Hall of Famer. He's one of the great players of his generation. This is probably the longest and deepest hole he's ever been in. And this was hey man, it's just not going to turn around for me this year. I think it's the frustration / resignation of a season that has been incredibly disappointing for him. That's number one. Number two is it is a fresh start. And I think he needed to say it out loud. I think he needed to just kind of put it out there in the universe, right? There's one thing to tell yourself a thing in the back of your mind, like, all right, just start from scratch today. Today's day one for the rest of my season. The rest, we all do it. We all make those little deals with ourselves, but we don't all put it out in the universe. And when you put it out in the universe like that, I think it can be powerful. I think that it's one of those that I am, especially after he kind of started to turn the corner a little bit. I think I'm saying, look, I'm not going to hit 300. I'm not going to score 100 runs. I'm not going to be, a guy that is, bold-faced on Baseball Reference in 2025. That doesn't mean I can't have an incredible impact on a team that does really great things at the end of the season. Mookie Betts can get a game-winning hit in the playoffs. Mookie Betts can make a game-saving play at shortstop in the division race. Mookie Betts could hit a walk-off home run in the World Series, and we're not going to care at all about any of the stuff that happened between the trip to Japan and where we're sitting right here in the second week of August. He can erase all of it. And I think that's where he's getting. I think that's mostly what it was. It's just, it is a reset button. It is, it is turning the video game off and starting over again. It's like, we're flushing this. It didn't work out for us. We're going to start from scratch right here. I like it. I understand that the headline is a little, whoa, what do you mean that, it's a lost season? But I think what he was getting at is starting now to the end of the year. It can't save my numbers statistically for 2025, but I can have an incredible impact on the team in 2025. And you're starting to see it. He had an opportunity to win the game for him. Yesterday, didn't happen. Mookie Betts had a really good weekend, and I'm incredibly optimistic about what I saw.
Yeah, and I'm going all the way to Tuesday when he started getting those good games. That's a 5-game stretch where he had 9 hits and 23 at-bats. That's a 409 batting average.
Yep.
2 walks, 6 runs, 5 runs batted in, 1 home run. Man, when he hit that home run on Friday, I had a huge smile on my face because I'm like, okay, man, you saw him enjoying himself with the celebration. You saw it's the thumbnail of this episode of Mookie just seeing that smile on his face, that happiness. It's like that's the kind of player that you want, someone with joy. And man, what a difference a week makes, because if he had said this last week, oh my, it would have been the sky's falling. You got to send Mookie back to AAA. Something got to happen because he can't be thinking this way. Right now, he did it in the perfect scenario where he did it in the meat of his sandwich, where it was like, all right, he said it right between 2 great games before, 2 great games after. So it was great for him. 3 multi-hit games in the last 5 games. After having 3 multi-hit games in his previous 20 games.
And like you said, he hit a home run. He hit the ball hard even on a couple of times where he did not get a hit, the ball was hit hard. And one of the things that for the majority of the season that you're seeing Mookie, it's just like, man, this just doesn't look, just those weak, soft little pop-ups early in the count to the right side, whether it's to the second baseman, shallow right field, like just was not getting through the ball, was not driving the ball, and was really very rarely pulling the ball to the left side of the field. That changed this weekend. We saw him hit the ball hard for hits. We saw him hit the ball hard for outs. We saw him draw a handful of walks, and that really soft, lousy contact that was kind of, his calling card for most of the season. We didn't see much of that. So I'm really excited about what I saw. Look, Mookie Betts is tough. Mookie Betts is not a mentally weak player. He's a tough player. We saw it last year going into the playoffs where he was in a little bit of a funk, and we started to have that, hey, Mookie in the playoffs, why are the numbers? And then boom, all of a sudden it turned and he was terrific all over again. This is a Hall of Fame player who's having a bad season but can finish strong. And there are some indicators. He's always going to be hard on himself. You can't really listen to what he says because he's always going to find the dark cloud and not the silver lining. That's just the way that he is as a ball player. But the performance is starting to turn around. He made a couple of really nice plays at shortstop over the weekend too. And look, if that offense comes back to, he's not going to hit 300 this year, but if he can hit 280 over the last month and a half of the season and drive the ball, the Dodgers all of a sudden they found an all-star that they didn't have through the first half of the season.
And that's part of the deal when they didn't go fishing for a big shark in the trade deadline, where they were like, okay, Mookie's going to get back to the Mookie Betts. We're going to get back Max Muncy, who has been fantastic since he came back from the injured list. So the Dodgers, that's what they're banking on. We've seen the improvement. We've seen Mookie Betts be more of the Mookie Betts that we're used to. And look, the reality is that's how you got to approach life. You can't be going back in what has happened in the past and focus on that. Focus on the day-to-day. Mookie, focus on game to game. Focus on every at-bat, on every pitch that you're looking at defensively, and be the best version of yourself every opportunity that you can. Well, coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the bullpen, they were the team's lifeline all season with all the injuries in the rotation. But now that the rotation's healthy, the pen's starting to blow leads. What's going on back there?
August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. We all do it, right? Hey, you know who's going to have a huge year? You know who I just can't wait to see play this year? For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling out your MVP, whether you are eyeing a long shot division winner, Raiders, what up, Harry, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Here you go. Flyer on the MVP race. I know I'm on Locked On Rams every single day too. There is a scenario where Matthew Stafford can win an MVP. Go look at the numbers, see what it could be, right? Super Bowl champion right now. If you want to get some decent odds on some of these teams, let's throw the Rams in there again. Pretty good chance right there. Division winners all over the places. You can do all of it on Futures Day. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers Postcast Show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers, like Andy, who asked on the comment section on Friday, who thought it was a good idea to bring a left-hander closer to the team. Well, Tanner Scott, he's injured right now and definitely hasn't given positive returns for his signing. Then this on Sunday, it was righty Blake Trinan who surrendered 2 home runs to give up the lead in the 8th, and lefty Alex Vesia on his first pitch served up the game-winning bomb for the Blue Jays. Is it time to start sounding the alarms at Dodgerville and say, man, we're in trouble with this bullpen? Because these are the guys that you're banking on the most right now to be your high leverage players in the postseason. Alex Vesia, he had been lights out for most of the season, and then this past week, it hasn't been the case. Blake Treinen, you're like, okay, we didn't get a big-time closer in the trade deadline, but Blake Treinen's back, and he hasn't been at all fantastic. He had a great at-bat against Bo Bichette, or a great dealing against him, and then against Vladdy, 0-2, and he just left a great pitch for Guerrero to just hit out of the park.
Yeah, I think the part that is most alarming for me, and to kind of answer one of your questions in there, I think it is one of those, hey, is this something that is going to sink this team this year? And there's a possibility that it might, because Treinen was the answer to these questions that we've had all year long. They get Blake Treinen back and let him be Blake Treinen, and you have a lockdown guy at the end of the game. He has not been that. And it's not just that he's giving up hits. He's given up bombs. He's given up homers. He's given up extra base hits. And like you mentioned, the pitch to Guerrero was just, that was a cookie. That was just a spinner in the middle of the plate that got, Vladimir Guerrero is a great player. He's going to hit that ball like that more often than he's not. He gives up another one to the next hitter along the way. And again, just right smack in the middle of the plate. I guess if we're trying to find some positives, he threw a couple of video game pitches before that were just filthy, unhittable stuff that we've seen from Treinen. So if we can get more of that, great. But the fact of the matter is, he really has not looked good since he's come back from his extended IL stint. There's time, but there's not as much time as we had, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago. He's got to start to look more like Blake Treinen, or you have to start looking in some other places. He did not look good. Vesia, I think Vesia is twofold. Number one, Vesia's pitched a lot this year, and he's pitched really well, and I'm still very optimistic on him. He got ambushed a little bit. He was trying to get ahead. That guy was waiting, and he put the ball in a spot that you probably wouldn't do a second time, and that ball got popped as well. I still like Alex Vesia a lot. I think that he's going to be okay. But you're right. The back end, Brock Stewart, Blake Treinen, We haven't seen Michael Kopech really all season long. He hasn't been very good. Tanner Scott, quite frankly, Harry, I'm not so sure he still isn't your best option by the time that he comes back, assuming that he does come back, that, you're paying him a lot of money. He may be the guy, and hopefully he figures some stuff out. Maybe a little time away will help. But that Dodger bullpen was asked to do a whole heck of a lot early in the year, and they did. But now you're starting to see the results of asking them to pitch as much as they have. They lead the league in innings pitched. I believe they've given up the third most home runs out of the bullpen of any team in baseball. So that stuff's starting to stack up and add up. But you're going to need one or two of those guys to be a lot better than they have. The two best candidates, I think, are Treinen and Scott, but neither one of those guys, Scott's unavailable, like you mentioned, and Treinen just does not look like himself. Can he? Yeah, sure. Has he? Not even close.
Yeah, before Blake Treinen took the mound on Sunday, the Dodgers relievers had pitched 8 in the third innings against Toronto, allowed 1 run, and it was when the Dodgers were winning 9-0 against the Blue Jays on Saturday. So the bullpen had done good up until that point, and Blake Treinen, he actually came in and closed the game on Friday with the 5-1 lead, and in that moment, I feel like everybody was like, okay, 4 runs, it's impossible for him to cough it up, and I feel like right now we're in a position where you need to send Treinen out in those kind of scenarios where the team is up by at least 4 or 5 runs, where it's like, okay, they need a grand slam to tie it up. We can send out Treinen and let him build his confidence up, because it's clearly not there. Treinen isn't himself. He's not the same guy that we were watching in the World Series last year. He's not the guy that at the beginning of the season before he got injured, you had all the confidence in the world in. Now you see him going out there and you're feeling pretty much like we have most of the season with Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates, and that's not how it should be. And if you put him over and over and over again in these same situations, he's more than likely going to fail. So don't put him in those scenarios. Now that puts you in a big conundrum. It's like, okay, then who do we send out there?
Right.
I look at Kasperius. Leave him out there for the 9th inning.
Why not at this point? But look, we're going to get some answers to this because they got a 2-game lead, right? That now this, well, once we get to October, okay, yeah, sure. And I still believe that they're, a virtual certainty to make the postseason. They're not a virtual certainty to win the division. You know, they got the Padres 6 times in the next week and a half or so. They're about to open up a series against the Angels, a team that swept them earlier this year. Dodgers are a much better team than the Angels, but they haven't had some success against them. And to your point, who? If it's not Trinan, who? If it's not Vezia, who? You know, there aren't a ton of options down there right now. And I think you're going to see Kasperius get a shot. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Banda get a shot, or Dreyer, or some of these other guys in situations that you might not typically do because of the struggles of Blake Trinan. I still think that by the time we get into October, you're going to have a Trinan Scott 1-2 in some order that you're going to really lean on. You know, there's still Gratterall, there's still Kopech, there's still some guys that you can hope for, but you know, you can see the finish line from where we are, Harry, and that is what was a strength of this team relatively early has now become a bit of a weakness, in particular because of the home runs that they allow.
Yeah, and the Padres, they traded for Mason Miller. They got one of the toughest bullpens in baseball, and we're going to get 2 looks at him over the next 4 series. Yes, the Dodgers got road trips against the Angels, then host the Padres, road trip against the Colorado Rockies, and then road trip against the Padres.
Yeah, they're going to have to play against the Padres. They're going to do the thing that really good teams do, and I'm talking about the Padres, is where they shorten the game. If you don't have the lead by the end of the 6th inning, you are in deep trouble, because to try to get a bunch of runs against guys like Suarez and Mason Miller, you're just not going to do it. They have a lot of really high leverage arms down there, far more than the Dodgers do at this point. So the Dodgers are going to need to have leads going into the 6th, 7th inning, a way that, you know, usually you're kind of on even footing, or even if you're a run behind, you felt pretty good because of the offense the Dodgers have and because of their ability to score runs, their ability to hold guys down. That's just not the truth anymore. And San Diego is a good team. They made themselves better at the deadline. I don't think that they're intimidated by the Dodgers. I think that they're going to play them really tough down the stretch here. And, you know, for the first time since, you know, a few years ago when the Dodgers and Giants went down to the last week of the season, this feels like there's going to be a genuine division race, at least well into September.
Well, we've spoken mostly about the bullpen, but man, Tyler Glasnow, he wasn't lights out, but he put the team in a position to win. Blake Snell, that's the Blake Snell. That's the Snell Silla that you're looking for, with double-digit strikeouts despite him not going 9 innings. Kershaw, he really wasn't the ace Kershaw that we've seen in his MVP or Cy Young seasons, but once again, the team supported him. He was good enough. He got double plays when he needed them, and the Dodgers were able to win 2 out of 3. And I wanted to criticize the Dodgers a little bit because I wanted Shohei Ohtani to pitch against the Padres. I mentioned it last week. Save him instead of Wednesday against the Angels. They don't deserve to see him pitch again. Save him against the Padres on Friday. And no, they are going to have him pitch every Wednesday. It seems like from now on. And I felt that was a great opportunity. But now we're in the embarrassment of riches phase for the rotation because, okay, we're not going to have Shohei Ohtani pitch against the Padres, but we are going to have Kershaw, Snell, and Glasnow pitch against them because you got Yamamoto, Sheehan, and Ohtani against the Angels. So
the Dodgers are throwing 4 heavyweights, another Hall of Famer, and another up-and-coming youngster who's really good at everybody now. The silver lining of this, Harry, before we call it a day, is the Dodgers beat a very good Toronto team 2 out of 3 times. Their starting pitching is finally where you would think it would be, right? That Ohtani is stretched out and looks as good as anybody. Snell looked amazing. Glasnow still hasn't grabbed a win, but he's pitched well in almost every game that he's come back. Yamamoto's been good all season long. Kershaw keeps doing it. I don't know how, but he keeps getting guys out. He keeps finding a way to put his team in a position to win games. And Emmett Sheehan has been really good and gets better each time he goes out there. So their starting pitching looks really good. Mookie's coming alive. They won 2 of 3. They got a soft target in Anaheim starting tonight. So it's an opportunity to maybe, you know, turn that 2-game lead into a 3-game lead, maybe a 4-game lead if San Diego cooperates on their end before you get them back at Dodger Stadium. Because when we're going into the weekend coming up here, Harry, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really close and 2 really good teams going at it. 2 teams with flaws, but 2 really good teams, and this is what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. And that will do it for today's show. From Travis and I, thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, because they got every game, every night, all season long. And also catch Pete Fox after every Dodgers game on our YouTube channel with his live postcast. It's incredible. Literally, the last pitch is thrown, he's already on the air talking about the game. We'll be back on Tuesday as the Dodgers kick off a 3-game series in Anaheim against the Angels. It's time for payback, Travis, because we don't forget, they swept LA earlier this year.
Yeah, payback. I'm here for that. That works for me. They need to win at least 2 of these games, if not 3 of these games, because the old guys down the street, they're playing good baseball, and you are in a division race, and games against bad teams are incredibly important to win.
It's time for payback, and more importantly, we need it.
Yeah.
We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it Dodger Blue.